So today I am absolutely delighted to be speaking with Dr. John Gray, who he is the author of one of the most well-known and trusted relationship books of all time, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. USA Today listed his book as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century, and it was the number one best-selling book of the decade. Dr. Gray's books have been translated into approximately 45 languages in more than 100 countries and continue to be bestsellers. Dr. Gray has written over 20 books, the most recent of which is Beyond Mars and Venus. And Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus was the first relationship book I ever read. And it was an absolute, just blew my mind when I realized the fundamental differences between men and women, how we show up in relationships, like the needs we have, everything. And I love hearing you speak about hormones and the differences there. And I think with the audience I have, Dr. Gray, it's going to be so useful to hear some of that. But really, my first question to you is, when you first started your research for your very first book, what was the knowledge gap that you knew that you needed to fill? Like, what did you see happening in your relationships and the relationships around you that made the book so necessary to write?
Well, as a marriage counselor, I heard the same problems that women had with their husbands that my wife had with me.
Right.
so it's interesting when a man hears the problem outside of himself, he can analyze it more clearly. And so I could really hear them, what they were needing, and realized how I wasn't understanding my wife and how she wasn't understanding me. Because so many of the times women project onto men what we're thinking or feeling when it has nothing to do with what we're thinking and feeling. So, as a marriage counselor, I was able to see some of I'm a simple mind, what are the very basic issues that if we can clear those up, there's a foundation for us to deal with normal problems in a reasonable way.
Yes, absolutely. And my next question was about if we were to kind of take people to back to school, back to Mars and Venus school, what are the fundamentals? So if someone, I mean, I can't believe anyone would be new to your book, but if someone is new to your book and your work, what are the fundamentals that every man and woman need to know about the Mars and Venus principles?
Well, those fundamentals are in Men Are From Mars, and I'll go over them briefly. The the truth of those ideas are true about men and women and how we're different. But it addresses in that book the problems couples face because we're different. Now, we're still different, but we're facing different problems. So that's what I address in my later books, or I address for single women, married couples, bedroom activity. You take the same concept and put it where different challenges and problems exist. But it'll be fun to do a quick review of the basic things that were causing trouble in relationships. One of them is women, when men would withdraw, and I call it going to your cave, he pulls away. Women assume that he's angry with you or he's upset with you or there's a problem in the relationship. And that's usually a misinterpretation. A man will pull away because that's how he copes with stress. And we'll get into the hormones of stress later, but biologically it's true. But back then I didn't understand the biology. I just knew and created a metaphor on Mars. Men go to work and then they have quiet time when they get home. And this has always been the case. I saw my grandfather, he'd come home from work and he'd sit and watch the news. Okay. And my dad would sit and read the newspaper. And I got married, and after about, I don't know, 6 months, I started ordering magazines so I could read the magazines. And I asked myself, why am I doing this? So I put the magazine down, and instantly my wife asked me to do something. So I realized it's kind of like, I'm already in a conversation, don't bother me. But what's really happening is men need to decompress by forgetting problems. So that was a little bit about men and their cave time. Now we know that you need cave time in order to restore your testosterone levels, and men need to make about 10 times more testosterone than women. So when a man pulls away in his cave, women tend to misinterpret it because she'll go to her cave sometimes, and quite often, if she's mad at her partner, if she's upset with him. And I remember coming home one day and the house was quiet. And I thought, I guess this is married life, quiet. I like it. And then that night when I got into bed, I found out I was in trouble. Uh, so women will become quiet and distant because they're not trusting you. So when I become quiet and distant, it's not that I'm not trusting you, it's I need time for myself. Whereas for a woman, a man's quietness is misinterpreted as what her experience would be if she was withdrawing and pulling away. It's a sign that there's problems in the relationship. So women become anxious when men go to their cave. And what women need, one of the basics was when a woman has experiencing moderate stress in her life or high stress, either one of the ways for her to reduce stress is to talk about what's bothering her. So in a sense, for a man, he needs to forget temporarily. A woman needs to remember and talk about it. And it's really fun in my later books how I talk about the reasons for that. But all I did in Men Are From Mars is just observe that women are this way, men are that way. And if she can talk about her feelings, and at that point, I learned this because women would come into my office and talk about their feelings and they would leave happy. Why? There wasn't a lot of solutions. I would give solutions, but I learned if I just started giving solutions, women didn't come back. So I said, let me do the opposite. And so I started really good at asking questions, and I started learning how to get women in touch with emotions. If I could get them to cry, for example, without hurting them, but getting them to talk about emotions and tears came up, they would have what's called a catharsis. And a catharsis lowers a woman's stress dramatically. I mean, dramatically. And so whether you go that far or not, by a woman feeling heard, and I was a good listener, they would feel happy, even though nothing had changed in their life. And then that's what I taught men. Just sometimes listen to your wife, let her talk, give her a hug. That's all she needs sometimes. And don't interrupt her. Don't get to the point. I heard all the women's complaints. He puts words in my mouth. He wants to get to the bottom line. He doesn't take time. He ignores me. So I just made lists of all that and explained what he's thinking. He's just trying to help. Why waste time talking when I can tell you what the solution is? Why worry about it? So that was two of the major things that were really very popular. Another one, Men Are From Mars. I can't go into all of them, but that would be like the first chapter. Then another one is Men Are Like Rubber Bands. Now, that's such an interesting thing. See, when man gets close to a woman, all it just means spending a lot of time with her, and particularly if you're spending a romantic intent sex time with her, what that does is it's like a need inside of a man, like we all need food. Once you finish your meal, you're not interested in eating if you're healthy. So what men do is they get close. They're actually connecting to their female side by going into her. Then they have to come back to be on their male side. Now, biologically speaking, it's simply when he's connecting with her, his female hormones go up and his testosterone starts to go down. So it's distance, it's independence, it's feeling separate from raises testosterone. And that's a good thing for men. And it's a good thing for women somewhat, but way 10 times more important for men. If you look at the biology of men needing 10 times more testosterone, connection, feeling connected to somebody, emotionally connected, stimulates high levels of estrogen. And when a woman is stressed, it's because her estrogen is too low. Women need to make 10 times more estrogen than men. So when women's hormones are out of balance because they're producing more male hormones, less female hormones, the brain interprets that to means that she's in danger. Whether she's in danger or not, doesn't matter. Because if you go back to where the brain developed, a woman feels estrogen when she feels safe. Her estrogen goes up if she has help and support. Let's say she's living in the jungle. I've lived with women in the jungle, and there could be a tiger out there. There's no fences. There's nothing. And the men are all out on a hunting trip. She's got a baby. So what's she going to feel? She's going to immediately feel like, okay, I got to get it together and protect my family. So she goes to her male side. She produces testosterone. And because she doesn't feel the support of the man or the men in her village, her estrogen goes down. So anytime a woman's testosterone is high and estrogen is down, the brain goes, oh, support is gone. It's all up to you. So you end up producing stress hormones, cortisol. And cortisol pushes you more to your male side, just like when you're in danger and nobody's helping you, you've got to do it all. So the symptom of that level of cortisol, and it's not the highest level, just a moderate level of cortisol, is very common for women today. It's called feeling overwhelmed, not enough time. And it gives a message to, no matter what's going on in your life, your brain goes to a part of the brain that only sees what's missing. This is actually measured in your brain. If you go to the right prefrontal cortex, when blood is flowing here, you're looking at what's missing. You're looking at what's dangerous. You're looking at what's not good enough. You're looking at, your brain just focuses on what's not enough. And if it doesn't flow on the left side of the prefrontal cortex, that's where your brain will look at things and say, oh, well, that's good. Well, I've got enough of that. Well, thank goodness I have this. So it's like, yeah, my husband didn't do this, but thank goodness he's done this. Okay, so then you feel love. When you're stressed, your brain goes, yeah, he does this for me, but he didn't do that. And your brain focuses. So it's the brain just does this to us. We have no control over this if we're in a stressed state. The brain just takes over. If we do things consciously, even though you're feeling that way, if you do something to restore hormonal balance, then you have control again.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the things a lot of women will say when we talk about the kind of relationship they really want, the one word that comes up again and again and again is feeling safe. Feeling safe. And then women, when they're dating, say, well, he was coming on really strong and he was like, communicating every day and I haven't heard from him yet this morning. And all of that feeling of safety just goes out the window. So that makes total sense with what you're saying.
Well, yeah. And so anyway, to finish the idea on the rubber band, it's so men get close, they need to pull away. But when they pull away, it's like stretching a rubber band. And then he springs back. Usually when he springs back in a younger man, he's feeling a desire for physical intimacy. I mean, that really is what motivates men when you're younger, and maybe when you're older too. I've just been married too long. But when a man is, the word for it is when he's horny, he's motivated. What's happening is he needs to have sex to raise his testosterone higher. And so dopamine goes up, anticipating and motivating him. So the newness of a relationship in a man's brain, the possibility of sex, the possibility of being loved, being accepted, being appreciated, because you have to realize it's not that men are just these sex animals. It's just that when a woman wants to have sex with you, it means to his brain that she loves him, she cares about him, she appreciates him, she trusts him, she accepts him. That's a symbol of sex, is what that is for men. And it's also, his sex center is twice as big. He has to be the one to initiate relationship. That's always been the case. Women are in the place of putting themselves in a situation where he can successfully initiate. That's such a more traditional way it is. Now, women can be way more assertive today, but they have to be careful not to be too assertive. The reason for that is, again, come back to hormones. When you're doing things for a man, when you're seeking to please a man, as opposed to letting a man please you, okay, two forces there. One is I'm trying to impress him. I'm giving him my resume. I'm looking at how great I am. Okay, so then a man goes, great, you can take care of me. Well, he's going to his female side. Whenever a man receives your support for him, to please him, whenever you're trying to please a man, your motive is that his estrogen will go up. And that's not healthy for men. Whenever a woman creates an opportunity for him to please her, her estrogen goes up and his testosterone goes up. That's how men bond.
So important for women to know, especially women who've been caregivers. So they've raised children and looked after family, and that's how they've expressed their love.
Yes, by
to
giving.
Know what happens when we overgive to a man.
Right. You see, this is a force of that women have to be conscious of. Because your body is designed to make babies, okay, you have this tendency to give when somebody needs help, okay, and you feel good doing that. It makes a hormone called oxytocin, and oxytocin raises your estrogen levels and your stress goes down. Most of the research just says oxytocin does it, but actually oxytocin then increases estrogen, and estrogen is what calms your brain. We know estrogen calms your brain. When estrogen's gone, there's no calming of the brain. Now, I know as we're talking, a lot of women are going, wait a second, I'm in menopause. Well, we can ask that question later, but the bottom line is estrogen calms your brain. And oxytocin is what's been labeled the tend and befriend response. Tend, that means to nurture others, to give to others, and then receive support back. This is kind of like the biology of women is if you live with all women, because remember, women for thousands of years have primarily spent their day with other women, not with men. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So if you're in a woman tribe, there's etiquette that you give to others and they will give back to you. That's reciprocity. So there's this big reciprocity gene inside of women. Men don't have it. Okay. We're not that way. That's what you have to understand. We're not that way. If you do something for me, I don't have a feeling of doing more for you. If you do something for me, I assume I earned it. We're done.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's a big, big difference. It's because, see, men are testosterone oriented. Testosterone says I get nothing unless I earn it. And so I did this, and now you appreciate me. We're complete. I don't owe you anything. I'm grateful that you appreciated me. It says I did my job. Okay, so you gave me your appreciation, but I don't feel like, oh, I should do anything more. I already feel like I'm satisfied. I got paid for my job.
Yeah.
Whereas women, they will give, they will help somebody. And that other woman feels this deep obligation, like to be a good woman, I have to give back. This is reciprocity. So this is taking care of others to get what you need. Now, where does that come from? Well, one is when you're other women, if you take care of other women, they will take care of you. And that's very important. Female status in a community of being generous and giving and making cookies and helping people and babysitting. All of that's very important in a primitive culture because your husband has a greater risk of dying. Men died young. They do the dangerous things. They go into the jungle. So your life insurance policy as a woman is to have social standing, giving to others, and then they will give to you when you have a need of help. Okay, so having said that, there's another aspect of this. Today for you, tomorrow for me is a way to look at that. Today, I'll do this for you, and then you'll do this for me back, and that's your insurance policy. Then part of all that, the way it worked, is women would give to their children, and that would ensure that a man would give to her. See, in the relationship with a man, you give to his child and he will give to you. All cultures know that if a woman wants to be cared for by a man for the rest of her life, she needs to have children. Because fathers will always bond with their children and take care of her. Now, this is unfortunate that many times fathers love their children more than their wives. What I teach men is if you want a happy wife, you have to make her more important than your children. So this is what I do
100%.
with
Yeah.
my wife. I make my wife always in front of my kids. My wife is more important. I would come home. First thing I say to the kids is, where's mom? And I would go to mom. I give her a hug. Mom says dinner's ready. I jump up right away. Let's get in there right away. So they see me prioritizing mom. It's very important. Just little things like that. Teach children how to respect mom and how to respect women. So if I didn't know that, I'd come home and just play with my kids and ignore my wife. I mean, here they are. They're coming at you. They're full of love, whatever. She might be mad at me or something. So, but if you want her not to be mad at you, you have to treat a woman with great respect. She's VIP treatment. And doesn't mean your whole day is consumed with that. It's just there's certain ways to show that she's more important than the kids. But we know historically, women know this, that if you want a man to take care of you, you get to have children with him. And even today, you can get child support just getting a child. So it's always been the case of a man will support you, so you will support the children because those children are a piece of him, and he'll always feel that connection, unless there's some extreme dysfunction with the whole thing. But that's generally the case. So this tendency of women to give and then expect to return. Well, when they give to they were always giving to the children, and then the man would give to her, and that was her insurance policy. So there's this strong tendency in women to give and then expect to get back. And that's called codependence. Another great book for women to read is Codependent No More. It was back before Men Are From Mars. It's where I learned a lot about women, was reading that book, because
Yeah.
I'm not that way at all. This is like some women thing here. So but the way to define codependence, it's a funny name, but what it means is making somebody else's needs more important than your own.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
basically it. And the opposite of that, which women are often calling men as narcissists, when they're not really technically narcissists, but it's when a man makes his needs more important than yours. Okay, so then he's seen as selfish, basically. And men will do that, just as women will tend to make other people's needs more important than their own. These women will always be attracted to and train a man to make his needs more important than hers.
Mm.
All you have to do is grow up with a mother who's not married, or his husband is gone, and she will train that little boy to be a narcissist, in terms of the common term for it, which is to make his needs more important than hers. And the way you reverse this is realize it's a very common thing. First of all, it was good for women to make the needs of their children more important than their own, because they would have a husband to do that for them. And they would have a group of women who would do that for her. So she could overflow with unconditional love to her children, which is an amazing blessing. Well, men, on the other hand, they tend to make their own needs more important than anybody else's in order to survive, so they could come home and take care of their family. Because when you're out there, when you're in the jungle and you're in danger, all you can think about is yourself. You've got to look at, what do I need to stay alive? And even today, what do I need to love my family? Is I need to work every day and make money so I can provide a beautiful life for them. And that's what motivates me. I'm a Spartan. I was a monk for 9 years. I don't need anything. I can sleep on the floor. I fast. I don't need all this luxury and everything. But I mean, I do like it, but it's not like what I need it. But what I need is, I need to work. I need to make enough money so I can support this beautiful life for my wife and my children and my grandchildren. That's what motivates me. I mean, I'm 73 years old. I'm done with this life, basically, unless my family needs me. And so they still need me. So I'm here kicking it out. And maybe when I become even more wise, which is, I'll realize that I also have to stay alive. And I do feel this as well, because I've got 10 books outlined on my computer right now that I will eventually write. It takes a long time to edit a book. This year I've written a book. It's a wonderful book. You'll love it. It's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Book 1 for women only. And its subtitle is Be Happy With or Without a Man. That's my latest work,
Right.
which is, if you can be happy without a man, then if you want a man, you'll have one. And if you don't want a man, fine, you can be happy. So I teach all about the hormones of happiness, particularly as you get older and you go into menopause and all those stages. But at any age, how to be happy without depending on a man, so that when you have that anchored, when you're grounded in that, then you can use a man to be happier.
Yes.
And I explicitly use the phrase use a man. I would never say men use a woman. Okay. You don't use a woman, you love a woman. But for a man, you use him. This is a good thing. Men do not mind being used as long as we're rewarded.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me today, and I do a thing on Thursdays on Facebook. And one of the questions was, well, how does this apply to the 5 love languages? Which is a wonderful book, a very popular book and very wonderful. But I looked at the statistics in terms of the 5 love languages, and for men, 90% of the men all pick physical affection. That's a man's love language. And in the parentheses, what it means is sex. That's just the reality. Okay. So yeah, I don't want her stroking my hair, just that. I want her stroking other parts of my body too. Okay. So this is, this is just the ultimate love language for men. But I translate that not just in terms of that, but what it is a woman will feel sexual desire for a man when her estrogen levels double. Now, what raises her estrogen levels to double is all 5 of the love languages. So yes, a woman will have one as a dominant one without a doubt, but usually it's the others that are more important. we tend to focus on what I want most is the easiest to get. And the ones that are hard to get are we go into denial about. So basically, all 5 of those love languages are important for women, and only one is important for men. But I would expand it. That one, which is physical affection, is when a woman wants to have sex with a man. Why does he really need that if he knows what his feelings are? It's because she's appreciating him. She accepts him just as he is, and she depends on him and can trust him. See, those are the things that raise testosterone. It's pure biology. Yes, I need someone to care and understand and be nice to me and cook for me. Well, wonderful things. That's all nice. That's not what raises testosterone in a man. What raises testosterone in a man is how you respond as a woman to what he does for you.
Yes.
See, this is how I respond to what you do for me does not make you bond with me. If you cook for me and clean for me and do whatever I want, and I say, thank you so much, honey, that's just great. I appreciate it so much. You'll be so mad at me. What you want is me to respect you, to do things for you, to hear you, to understand what you're going through and be considerate of that and demonstrate through my actions and my responses to you that I care about you, that you are a priority. That's what women need once we get above this level of survival and security. This is Maslow's teaching that once we get above the basic levels of survival and security, then other needs show up. One is the need to achieve, which is why so many women want to be successful in the workplace. They want to feel independent and successful. That's good. The other one, though, is to feel the need for intimacy, the need for personal fulfillment, the need for attention, the need for affection, the need for support in that way. And that's a big one for women. A big one for men is personal achievement. Personal achievement for men is success. A man, before, he just needed to survive and be safe. But at a certain point, when you have survival and safety, a man will not feel fulfilled unless he experiences success in achieving goals. Okay, you have to have goals where you have to take risks and achieve those goals, and that will bump your testosterone up if you're somewhat successful. If you're not successful, your testosterone goes down. And this is what's happened to, our culture. Once the economy has gone so bad that when men are not adequately paid for what they do, or opportunities to be successful, then testosterone levels drop. That's one of the reasons men's testosterone levels start out at 25 years old, 20% lower than just 20 years ago. And then, of course, you've got men who, as they get older, their testosterone goes down, down, down. I'm in my 70s. It's only gone up, up, up. And it's not just because I'm successful. That's part of it. I also work hard. That's part of it. And another part of it is I don't complain. This is very, very important for women to understand, because women have, they're all into self-improvement. They read the books for self-improvement. They read all the psychology books. And the notion is that everybody needs to talk about feelings in order to be happy together. This is that's the antidote for all problems, is we need to talk. And for women, it's the antidote to all problems, is men need to listen to what she's going through. Or sometimes she needs to not talk to him and talk to somebody else, like a therapist or a friend, or she should journal her feelings. Talking to a man about your feelings when you're trying to change him will only fail. It will push him away. That's called complaining. Anytime you're using your feelings, unhappy feelings, discontent, to motivate change in a man, will reduce his willingness to change. Okay, it's literally it's a law of the universe. When you push against something, it will push back, and when you push against it with emotion, it will push back even harder. And you push against it when somebody loves you and they care about you, you would think, well, that would make them want to change. No, it makes them even more resistant because they're more affected by your push. So women don't have an option of, well, if he steps on your toes, how do you tell him not to do that? Well, you ask him. You say, honey, next time, would you not step on my toes? Without being angry. And then he will forget. And then he does it again. And you say, oh, by the way, please don't step on my toes. And then you ask him again. Oh, by the way, you can't say, if what you shouldn't do is say, I've asked you 3 times, don't step on my toes. Well, then you just put a wall up. He'll forget it. He'll diminish it. He'll have less motivation. He'll have less energy. I was just writing today, or maybe talking about another interview. One of my clients, she says to me, we've been married. We love each other, been married over, 40 years. But when I'm with my husband, he's always tired around me. I know he works hard, but he's always tired. But when his buddies call, he always has energy. He just jumps up. He's off ready to go do anything, but he's tired around me. I said, yeah, that's because you're smarter than him. So I'm saying this because a lot of women to this are very competent. As women get older, they get smarter and they're more competent and they're more capable than men. Not everyone, that's a difference. Some men are smarter. Some men are less smart. Okay. So that's not a gender difference. Intelligence is not a gender difference. Age, particularly for women, gives them more experience, more confidence, more competence. And that's very common for women. It's another gender difference, is that a young man doesn't know what he doesn't know, so he thinks he's right. Okay. So he has all this unearned confidence. Okay. Women, on the other hand, until they learn something over and over, then they feel confident. So part of intelligence is with confidence. So as women gain more confidence with age, they're smarter than men, many women. So this woman is so much smarter than her husband. I spend time with him, and she's always telling him what to do. And she's right. She's right. And so he doesn't object to it. He's sort of like, okay, good idea. That's smart. But he has no energy around her because he feels I have nothing to contribute to her except follow her instructions.
And this sounds very much to me like mother and son, doesn't it?
That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Right.
And then what happens is the turnoff happens,
That's right. For both.
Yeah. Exactly. So nowadays, like in your recent book, Beyond Mars and Venus, you talk about why being a man and a woman, or a woman in today's society, is more nuanced and complex. So as society and gender roles have changed so hugely, there's so many more single mums, there's so many more women who earn more than men. There's just so many changes. What does this mean for people right now who are trying to be in healthy, loving relationships, who really, really want great relationships? And
okay, so what it means, you asked me, well, what does it mean? It means that if you stay married, you have no sex. And it means that if you get a divorce, you don't find somebody again. So that's what it means. That's what's happening. And unless we are able to adapt and make smart changes. So that's like why I write later books to, as the world has changed, how we can adapt to that. In my book, Why Mars and Venus Collide, that's another one. I really address the whole book on what you need to do if you're making more money than a man. Because if you're making more money than a man, it's the same thing as that she's smarter than him. And when men become dependent on a woman for financial support or for guidance and support, what you end up with is this mother-child relationship, or what you end up with, what I call role reversal, where she's more on her masculine side in the relationship and he's more on his female side in the relationship. That if we have to define these things for clarity. When you're making estrogen, women need to make 10 times more estrogen, and they have to make 20 times more estrogen than a man in order to have a climax. Okay, so just know that this estrogen is really important for women. If you want romantic feelings and so forth, estrogen has to go up. Estrogen goes up in a woman when she feels I can depend on him for meaningful support. I can depend on him for help. I need his help. Now, if you're smarter than him and you have more money than him, your brain goes, I don't need his help. He needs my help. So the roles are reversed. See, for me, I'm like Superman because my wife needs my help. My daughter needs my help. My grandchildren need my help. My other daughters need my help. I help all these people. So I have to stay alive and I have to work, and I'm glad to do it. They love me. They appreciate me. They depend on me. Positive. This is the positive side of it. So I'm over here being a man. People are depending on me. It's great for me. But now you're a woman and everybody's depending on you. You just feel overwhelmed and stressed. That's just the reality today. And then you've got this guy who's, what's he good for? How can I use him? What's he doing for me? And a funny thing here. You can put a little humor in this, and then we have solutions. But I'm watching The View one time, and on The View, there's all these different types of women. They come in, but there's one who's always the hot-looking woman. The one that's in the magazines, model type music, and they're talking about their relationships with men, and she says, "Well, I had the perfect relationship." And they go, "Oh, tell me about your relationship." They're all excited. She's, "Oh, I have to wake up at 4:00 in the morning to get into New York to do this show. I mean, this is like heavy duty sacrifice to get in here. So I come in here, I do the show, I get home around 4:00. He's cleaned up the house. He takes care of the kids. He's got dinner ready for me. He is the perfect wife." And they all go, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky." She says, "I know, I'm so lucky." They have 3 children. He takes care of them. He does everything. And then they all go, "And what's the sex like?" And she starts laughing. She says, "We haven't sex since our last child."
Oh my goodness. Oh
So
my.
that's the reality. Okay, you can give that up. Now, what I'll say is she'll burn out. Okay, eventually she will burn out. Right now, she's getting a lot of popularity and a lot of money, and that's our whole society. We're seduced by money and popularity, but that wears out thin very quick eventually, and then you're burn out, and she will burn out. But what needs to happen is not just that she has a husband who's cooking and cleaning for the kids and whatever, but when she comes home, she needs to be adept at learning to depend on him for something meaningful for her personal life, And what that would mean is, what I've seen is, to the extent women are on their male side, they actually need a new kind of help from men. And the kind that raises estrogen. And the help she needs from a man is to be able to come home and completely complain about her day. Literally just talk about this happened and this happened, and then learn how to bring in emotion into that. Now, women are not that good at that. They're good at just talking about everything, but learning how to express emotion. I was so afraid. I was so scared. I feel so disappointed. And then when they said this, I was so hurt. The more you can reveal to a man your emotion around the problems of your day, the more estrogen levels you'll produce, and also more testosterone in a man. And the news business, they know if it bleeds, it leads. Okay. Emotions is it bleeds. The more you can come home and share the blood, so to speak, the pain that you're going through. And yet, because these women are on their male side, they don't feel it. See, when you're on your male side, you're producing male hormones. And when you produce male hormones, you're not producing female hormones. You can't feel what's going on. But you can train yourself to. That's what happens when a woman comes into counseling with me. I create a safe space. I have to ask her questions. I know how to ask the right questions. I know how to build a level of safety where she can reveal her vulnerable feelings that she would never be able to share on TV. She would never be able to share on coworkers. And then she comes home and she doesn't even connect with those feelings because they're not safe to feel. Yeah. So in psychology, what we know, and this is one of the best things about psychology, is that when you suppress feelings, they will build up inside, and then they will create just a mood of anxiety and dissatisfaction and unhappiness and complaint. Your brain will just only focus on negative rather than focusing on positive. So it's like she needs a good therapist who would teach her how to be in touch with her emotions, and then go home and use her husband to do that every day. And in all my books, I talk about what's called the Venus Talk, where it only takes 10 minutes if you do it every day. You just download your day in emotional language, not just download the day, but emotional language. Because whenever you can share something, particularly that you weren't even aware of while you're at work, and share something that you're feeling on an emotional level that you wouldn't share with anybody else, that produces huge amounts of intimacy. It produces huge amounts of bonding. So that becomes a tool, learning how to share emotions, for her to depend on her husband for that, because he'll love her unconditionally. But he won't unless you train him. You have to tell him, now I'm just going to share these emotions, and then I'm going to feel better. And I don't want you to say anything. I didn't want you to comment about it. I can solve it all. I'm a confident woman. I'm capable. But I do need you to just hear me. Just feel what I feel, and then give me a hug afterwards. And that's all I need. And even if that doesn't sound like it's going to do anything, it does. People just don't know what they don't know. It's very, very powerful. And what I know to be the case, having studied the brain, is that we have these things called mirror neurons. Are you familiar with that term, mirror neurons?
Yeah, I have heard it, but yeah, please do
Okay, so a
explain it.
mirror neuron, science is discovering it for other reasons, but what they found is that mirror neurons, when they activate, it's a neuron system in the brain that allows you to intuitively feel what somebody feels. So if you're happy, if I have my neurons open, we'll call it open but active, open mirror neurons, I can feel happiness through your happiness.
Mm.
Every parent knows this. When your children always activate mirror neurons in everybody. I mean, I heard about these children dying recently, and my tears came out of me because I can feel all the pain, their pain of being scared and being hurt and everything. It was terrible. So nothing evokes my emotions like a child being hurt. Okay, that's mirror neurons. When somebody is vulnerable, a man's mirror neurons open up. For a woman, her mirror neurons are open all the time. She can feel what other people feel, depending on how close they are to her, but she's connected with her emotions and her feelings. Her estrogen levels is feeling. It's 10 times higher if she's not stressed. So a woman has these mirror neurons open. Men, it only opens when you're having sex with a woman or you have children.
Wow.
That's the only time. Okay. They might open a little bit, but it's vulnerability. You know, uh, when a woman learns how to share vulnerable feelings without making him the bad guy. See, most of the time, the only time women say, "Oh, I feel hurt," it's like, I feel hurt when you say this." It's what all women are taught. Tell your husband, "Oh, I feel hurt when you do this." It's the worst thing you can ever do is to confront a man that he's caused you to feel hurt. Immediately, he has to defend himself. He has to
Yeah.
be your hero. He's not the bad guy. If you make him the bad guy, his whole purpose of life is destroyed. So if you're feeling hurt by your husband, you talk to somebody else and the hurt goes away. Hurt is just a temporary emotion. Anger is a temporary emotion if it feels heard. But so you don't share negative emotion with him about what he's done so he doesn't feel blame. He's the hero. He's the therapist. He's listening to you. So in a sense, he's the solution and you're the person seeking help. That's always the place where men bond with women, is when you need his help. And of course, successful women, competent women, they act like I don't need anybody's help. Okay. And the last thing I want to do is show weakness, insecurity, doubt, shame, regret. You know, you can't reveal that in your workplace. But to be able to come home and with a man, if you say, "Oh," watch what happens to a man as soon as you say, "Oh, today I was so embarrassed. I said this stupid thing." Then he feels smart. He feels like, "Oh, okay, I have something to offer. She's not so high on a pedestal," whatever. It's so empowering, but it's the opposite of what people think. Most of what I teach is the opposite of what people think and do.
Mm.
And
And
it's
especially when women have gone through relationships, they've felt hurt, they've been putting their armor up, and they start to believe, based on experience that they've had, I can't open up. It's not safe to be vulnerable. I
it's
can't
not
rely
safe.
on men. And actually, yes, I'm hearing what you're saying is like when we become safe with our feelings, and that feelings are safe for us to feel and express, we are going to grow stronger in that vulnerability.
Oh,
Um,
tremendously. Authenticity gives you power. The reason it hasn't been safe to express your emotions to a husband or boyfriend is because they were always directed at him as the problem.
yeah.
Now, the real problem is that you need more estrogen. So you can share your emotions with him and he can't hear you. Or you can share it with a therapist and your emotions will go up. Or you can share your emotions about things that are going on in your life that have nothing to do with your husband, like your coworkers, the politics, the children, the business you work at, all the frustration, all the delays. And often, if you're on your male side, you don't feel those emotions because in your male side, you go, "There's nothing I can do about it. So why be upset? There's nothing I can do about it. So why be upset?" Now, that's a strategy that every man needs to learn. If you can't do something about it, then forget it. Solve it or forget it. But for a
Mhm.
woman to be on your female side, you have to first experience your emotional reaction. That's your biology, is when you're stressed.
Mm.
lowers your stress is when you acknowledge the emotional reaction to something. And why is that? If you look at a higher level, it's when you experience the emotional reaction to something, you connect. Once you release negativity, your stress goes down. You're in touch with your female side, which has the intuition to know how can something be improved. Women are the guardians of wisdom of how we can make life better. That's what women are built for, is how to make life better. Men are built for just solving problems. Solving problems is not making things better. It's keeping it the way it is. Just get it, fix it, just fix it. Don't make it better, fix it. It's the female side that motivates improvement. And so that's the wisdom of the female side. And so when she can connect with her female side, which helps her to connect by expressing the emotional reactions to things that you can't change, but how can you react to it? Your male thinking goes, well, if there's nothing I can do about it, forget it, leave it alone. Women are not wired that way. You're wired under moderate stress to produce 3 times more blood flow to the emotional brain. This is how you're wired up. This is a huge difference from a man. A man under moderate stress has 0 blood flow to the emotional part of their brain. His brain is designed to not feel emotions when he has to solve a problem. Now, if he can't solve the problem, and there's danger, then he will go into fight or flight. Then he will have emotions in fight or flight. But when a man is just faced with danger, but he's confident, he has no emotion. That's why men like to take risks, is that, you take a risk. I think I can do it, but it's dangerous. He'll feel peaceful. That's why people climb mountains and drive cars fast and do all these things that men do, is because it calms them, actually calms them. Whereas women, if she's in touch with her female side, she'll be more stressed.
Yeah, and I've heard you say, and I'm aware of time now, so I'm going to round up, but I've heard you say, women, when men are solving a problem, that their testosterone goes up, and that actually we must just let them be, to solve that. And I've really taken that on with my son, when he's a grown man, but just seeing him solving his problem, and with that, knowing as a woman that he is being fully a man. He is for me, I would want to talk it over, but he's masculine, his testosterone is raising, and it really is gold what you were just saying for so many of the women who I'm in contact with in my coaching practice, is that when we communicate our feelings, we are giving a man the opportunity, or both of us the opportunity, to improve the relationship. So communicating vulnerably, without blame.
And not him. Okay. So this idea of we need to talk about the relationship immediately will spike a man into cortisol. Okay. And he can't really hear what you're saying. So if you take on my idea here, is just don't ever make him the problem. But there's things you want to improve in the relationship. So how do you do that? The way you do that is don't give advice, ask for help. All you have to do is never think about improving him. Think about asking for help. So let's say his clothes are dirty. You can just simply say, honey, your clothes are so dirty, I feel embarrassed in public. Would you clean them? Okay. See, you always make it about you, asking him to do something for you, but not trying to change him. Let him come up with his solution for the problem.
I love that. I love that. Just such a simple piece of advice there. John Gray, thank you so much. People can find you at marsandvenus.com. I will link your books below, and really, really appreciate your time. It's been great to speak with you.
I know you're cutting it off because this is our time, but I do have a few extra minutes, and we started 10 minutes late due to my mistake. So I'm happy.
Let's absolutely wonderful.
And I think that as soon as I sort of announce to women that don't try to change a man, don't complain. Well, what do you do? Well, actually analyze what a complaint is. Complaints never work. But what is it? It's behind every complaint is just a request. You're stepping on my shoes. Would you stop stepping on my feet? It hurts. Rather than say that, you just simply say, hey, next time, would you not step on my feet? Hey, next time, would you do this? Hey, next time, would you do that? And be patient. Eventually, the message will sink into a man, and he'll hear it much better than if you complain about it. So here's the theory behind it, is when you ask a man to do something, understand that, we have in our brains these dopamine receptor sites. Women have them too, but ours do not become active. Dopamine motivates us unless the stimulation is emergency. It has to be a big stimulation, like life or death, survival, security, something significant like that, as opposed to picking up your socks or turning out the lights for the electric bill to be less. See, all the little domestic squabbles that couples have is women being aware of all the little problems. Men don't even let that sink in if they're on their male side. So when you ask them to do stuff, because they're not on a scale of 1 to 10, an emergency, they don't register dopamine. Dopamine is what motivates a man. It gives him energy to demonstrate the love that he has for her. But if he doesn't have the energy to demonstrate the love he has for her, he'll feel like, yeah, I'll do that. But then he forgets to do it. This is so real inside of men that the memory inside of a man's brain, the emotional memory that becomes activated, is half the size in men than it is in women. It's literally, you
Wow.
can see the biology reflects this. Men typically forget. Men's big complaint is women remember everything. Women's complaint is he forgets things. We're designed this way. And part of, for women, the art of motivating a man is learning to ask him to do things, knowing that he'll probably forget because it didn't hit that threshold of emergency. He'll put it off. I remember before we learned how to solve this problem, my wife would ask me, okay, would you call so-and-so? Would you pay this bill? Would you change the lights in the garage? Would you move those boxes? I said, make a list. And when she got to about 8 things, then I would have enough momentum to go and do it. And, and it was like, if I didn't do it then it becomes a big problem. So men sort of wait to the last minute because they need this extra dopamine rush. Then that all changed. What I told her, that's the solution. Just put it on the list. But the funny thing is, when I observed it, I could solve all those things on the list in an hour. Each one 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. But 10-minute job didn't give me enough juice. So then we started practicing this new technique. That's why I want to share this one, which is you put up your hand. You explain this to a man, but this is what the technique looks like. And I'll explain how to explain it to a man. You put your 5 fingers up every day. And in that 5 fingers, it's going to say, I'm going to ask you a question, or I'm going to make a request that takes between 1 minute and 5 minutes to do. And all I ask is that you treat me like a VIP, and like it's an emergency. And you say, absolutely happy to do that. So you're going to say, hands up, and you go, oh, what is it? And you're going to say, would you make me a glass of Earl Grey tea, a cup of Earl Grey tea with milk and sugar? Absolutely, right away. As if he's, like a waiter in a restaurant, happy to serve you. The maitre d' welcoming you, certainly, without a doubt. An instant response to, yes, I'd be happy to do that. Now, this is very important for female psychology because it's a sign of high dopamine in a man, and it gives him a surge of testosterone, and it gives her the message he's available. One of the most important needs women have is to feel that support is always available. If you ring the alarm bell, people will come. And so what happens for a woman is she's on her male side. She's busy thinking about have to do this, have to do this, have to do this. She doesn't have the ability like a man to turn off the brain. Now, men have the potential. Maybe not all men use it, but we have the potential to do it. That's what cave time is. We can simply distract ourselves. Just, hey, nothing I can do about it, so I'm going to go do something else. And then when he does something else, he rebuilds his testosterone, his stress goes down, then he can connect with his wife and have a happy family life. So basic biology of historical traditional relationships. But when you have a woman, she's doing all this male stuff during the day. She's in this mode of doing and doing and doing and doing. She doesn't have the brakes to turn it off. And all it takes to turn it off is what's called a reset. A reset is called a pattern interrupt. This is basic psychology, just the technique is different. A pattern interrupt means that while your brain is thinking, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, you raise your hand up. And now you're going to ask him to do something that you could do for yourself, but you're not going to do for yourself. You would never ask anybody to do for you because you could do it yourself. And you're going to raise your hand, ask him to do it. And when he does it, you have to sit there and watch him do it and appreciate that he showed his love by doing that for you. And that is literally stops the momentum of your brain from this feeling of, I have to do, I have to do, I have to do. And now you don't have to do. You don't get to do. Someone's going to do it for you. And the fun part of this is it's not, you have to think of different ways. You can repeat it occasionally, but you have to find different ways of little things to ask for that he doesn't expect. It's not routine. If it's routine, it doesn't work. It has to be out of the blue, something you would normally never ask for. And in my book, I have like lists of these things, but it would be, here's an example of it. I'm going off to bed and my wife walks in sometimes raising her hand up and she says, "Oh, John, would you get me a cup of warm water?" Now, I want to go to bed, but what I'm going to do is go, I know how this works for her. I know what it will do for the relationship. So even though I don't want to get out of bed, I go right away, happy to do it. And the first few times I had to fake it, but that's okay. Because as soon as I get up and sacrifice my needs for her, my testosterone goes up. I'm connecting with the highest part of a man's nature, which is to solve problems selflessly, no matter what you feel. You see, all these men are all in their feeling estrogen side. They don't feel like working, so they don't work. I work regardless of whether I feel like it. You get up and you do it, and then you feel good doing it. So to find your balance back, and for her, it's a feeling at any time she can ask and she will get a response. And the way to present it to a man is to think about those Pink Panther movies. Do you remember the Pink Panther?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay, so here's Clouseau. And Clouseau would come back to his apartment and Cato, his faithful assistant, would attack him. And this was so he could, it's very funny. So he'd always be vigilant. He'd be ready for an attack at any moment and hone his fighting skills. So my wife is like Cato. I never know when she's going to ask me to do something, but every day, hand goes up. I'll be writing on my book. She goes, "Oh, would you help me with this? I want to move this box." I go, "Sure, honey, right away." And I stop and I go. And if I look at how that affects me later, it was a surge of testosterone. It was an interruption of my pattern of thinking of myself and making her more important. And it's less than 5 minutes. And it's not something you do regularly, meaning that the thing she's asking for. Like, let's say she says, "Would you clean up the dishes in the kitchen?" And I'm cleaning up the dishes in the kitchen, knowing after 5 minutes, my wife's going to be happier. You can't say to him, "And by the way, would you always remember to do that every day?" No, that's not what this is about. This is like, it's over and extra. It's something she could do for herself. It's something not expected of him. It's not the routine chores. It's something little that will allow her to interrupt his process and get an immediate response from him, which is, "I am here for you, happy to be there." And this whole example also reminds me of one of a very favorite classic show for women, which is Princess Bride. You probably saw that, right?
Do you know, I don't think I did actually. I heard of it, but I don't think I saw it.
American thing, I guess. But like all the teenage girls when growing up, and then they all know the words. My daughters all knew the words for it. But in Princess Bride, the princess, the king, and the prince all want to marry her. She's like the stud, right? She's like the princess, ready to get married. But she falls in love with the low level country guy who takes care of the horses. Okay. And whenever she says something, she asks him to do something. His response is always, "As you wish, as you wish." And she falls in love with him. So this is 5 minutes a day. No matter what your request is, it's less than 5 minutes. His answer is, "As you wish, happy to do it. I'm there for you." And it's amazing what it does for my heart. It allows me to connect with my wife. It allows her to feel more connected to me. It just keeps that male testosterone willing to take action right away. And the female part, which needs to feel that I'm never alone. There's always somebody that can help me. And it's just a matter of interrupting that process for her. And her stress levels will go down. They will go down. So I just wanted to give you all that wonderful tool. And
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And as you were speaking, you know, as a woman receiving that, when my partner will just do these little random things that for me that I know I could do myself, which must be a surge of estrogen as you're speaking,
yes,
but I just feel this flood of warmth and love. I just feel so loved and precious. And then equally, that makes me respect and admire him even more. And then
yes.
it
So
goes on.
this is where I got the idea from. It's like you can produce that every day, because think about everything that creates romance is where a man provides something for a woman that she could do for herself, but she doesn't have to do. Go to a restaurant, somebody's going to cook for you. Go to a hotel room where it's all beautiful and clean and somebody did the sheets, somebody's going to clean up after. That whole feeling of, "Oh, I don't have to do all this.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
just to have that feeling, it doesn't take much for her to have that feeling, a quick interruption of that. But this is the thing, a romance is a two-way street. She needs to do this. A lot of my client women won't do it. They have a resistance to it. And so, but I keep recommending it. And then after a while, they realize he is happy to do it. Her fear is that he will feel burdened by it. And he will, to some extent, feel bummed out or burdened by it because he hasn't yet felt how good he feels when she has a positive reaction. So this is a learning experience for couples. Try it for a week and you won't want to go back.
Brilliant. I love it. I'll be telling all my clients about that one. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate
You're
you.
welcome. A pleasure
Really
talking to
appreciate
you. Yeah.
Really appreciate just all of your wisdom. And I love that you've got 10 books on the go or outlined because it's just fantastic.
They're coming along. This one is going to be coming out this year. It's book one. It's called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, for women only, book one. And there'll be 5 of these for women only books. And this is called Being Happy With or Without a Man. And in there, I also mention, I'll just briefly mention it because something else is coming out in the next month, is my app, which is called Mars Venus Heart Space app. And in this app, it mimics me as a therapist, where I ask certain particular questions that access different parts of your brain. And then the app translates your answers into an emotional language and writes a letter to your partner or to your parent or whatever in an emotional language that produces huge amounts of estrogen. Because most people don't have the ability to translate their, what happened, what didn't happen, what should have happened into emotional language. That's what I've learned to do, because it's the emotional language for women that will actually help raise estrogen, and it will do it for you. It just prints it out. It's a whole beautiful, it's called the feeling letter process. It writes out what you're feeling on emotional level. Then it writes out a response of what you need to hear. And then when you read that, it's like you're actually giving it to yourself. And then it gives you the response that you would have to that, which is greater insight and understanding and appreciation and gratitude. And then it creates 10 affirmations for you to pick from and a commentary of whatever affirmation you picked. It's a very powerful tool. It's called Heart Space and should be out in about a month. And if people are interested in getting in beta testing, and I want to test it on people besides me and my family, they can go to marsvenus.com, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus /.com/contact. Just contact us and tell us that you want to be a beta tester. And we'll make that available for people when it's ready. It's not ready yet, but it will be ready next month.
If people were to get your free course that's on your Mars Venus website and be on your newsletter list, would they then hear about the app?
Yes,
they'll definitely
hear about the app that way too. And we do have a free course there. Our most popular course there is Understanding Men, done by myself and my daughter, Lauren. She wrote the whole thing and I edited it with her, and then she does it, but it's the most popular. And there's one that's also really popular. One of our courses is Secrets of Great Sex. I think it's a fun thing for couples to watch together. Sex education is, even if you think you know it, you don't. Okay. There's a lot of extra stuff we need to understand about how men and women are different sexually, and to do it in such a pure and playful, fun way with a lot of love elevates the whole act of making love instead of just sex. So that's available at my website as well.
That's great. And that's marsvenus.com. And I will link your most recent book and your first book. I will link those in the description. Thank you so much, John Gray.
You're welcome. You're welcome.